got Heather coming here all the way from, where are you sitting in California, right, Heather?
Yeah, I am. I'm in like the greater Los Angeles area.
Okay, so Heather, before we do interviews, before we do any podcasts, before we eat, before we do everything else, we sync up to take down the energy. And anybody out there wants to do this with us, you can do it. So Heather, I want you to take your right leg and just put it over top of your left leg.
Okay.
Okay, this is a little fascial maneuver. It's going to sync our energies. Okay, take your right hand, put it on underneath your left armpit. That's good. And left hand on top. Okay, we're going to turn our body to the right. Again, head to the left. And we're going to take 3 breaths, and we're going to do it 3 through the mouth and 3 through the nose together. So anybody else that's doing this, this will sync us up. So 3, 2, 1. Breathe into the mouth. 2, 3. Through the nose. 2, 3. Okay. How's that feel, Heather? A little calmer?
So good. Yeah, I love that on a Sunday morning. It's perfect.
Thank you. And we went live about an hour ago because we messed up the time. So we already got everybody all warmed up here. And for those of you guys who are coming in here, if this interests you in this topic, give us a bunch of likes. And what I want you to do is hit the share button, send it out. If you send it out to 5 or 10 people, it trips the algorithm and it gets all the other people that are there but not really there yet on here. So today we're going to be talking with Heather from Sirius Joy. She's an astrologer, fantastic. And I'm a Sagittarius and she's also a Sagittarius. And we're going to be going through a bunch of different issues with health and trauma release and why astrology works. And we're right now in the 28th step of Scorpio, which is basically a Taurus step of Scorpio. It's a manifestation. It's one of the highest ones. And it's one of the highest times that this has happened in 276 years, based on the astrology, since the Saturn return to the United States. I believe, and I may be wrong, but I can say from people out there around the world, people are struggling with all kinds of body issues, pains, mental issues right now. And they've been going crazy. And we can see it because we've gotten literally thousands and thousands of DMs from people just saying, can you help? Can you help? And it all happened over the last 24 hours. So why would, in your mind, with what's going on, do you feel that yourself, or is it just the rest of the world?
No, absolutely. I feel a huge, there is such a huge growth process happening with myself and just with human beings in general. I mean, people are looking for that next level of, this cannot be it. This cannot be the way that I feel forever, the way I look at things forever, and I'm ready to level up. So we're definitely seeing that in the astrology world.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. Yeah. Now, Heather, just a little bit about background. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to Sirius Joy, and then I'll give my 2 cents of how I ended up working with Sirius Joy myself.
I love my story of how I started with Sirius Joy. It is, I don't use the word magical a lot, but it is magical. So I started studying astrology several years ago. It's very casual, but it became very not casual very quickly because I realized I also do hair, and I've done hair for almost 20 years. And I realized within my own hair clientele that people were really looking for something greater. And so I quickly started helping people on an astrological level. And I was doing that for quite some time, but I was also a subscriber of this brilliant spiritual and astrological guidance service. And it was life-changing. And so here I was, the subscriber, learning how to open my heart, learning how to have a healthy ego. And I was asked to be a guest on one of the soul support groups. That's a weekly show that we offer. And I got to meet with Christopher Witecki, who is our founder of Sirius Joy and the founder and creator of the STEP system, which I'm sure we'll talk about. And at the end of the show, we started talking astrology, him and I, and he said, "Are you an astrologer?" And I said, "Yeah, but I'm new, and it's, and he goes, "Oh, I need an astrologer. We're hiring." And I was like, "What?" I mean, this was someone that I followed and I trusted you know, Gary, because yeah, right? It's Christopher Witecki. And he said, yeah, send in a resume. So I changed my resume I've had forever, and I made it more astrological based because I was just only really doing my own personal clientele. I wasn't on this big platform. And I don't know, within a week or so, him and I were just like this, and we energetically bonded so quickly, and that's how I started working for Sirius Joy. And on a personal level, I had a lot of personal life things going on and things that were getting depleted. So I was getting depleted over here with certain life stuff, and then all of a sudden I have this like miracle come in, right? And it's because my heart's open, my heart believes, and I'm following my heart. And when you follow your heart, this stuff comes in. And that's what happened.
So you've been there. You've been there for how long now?
I've been there. Well, it's been over a year.
So in the last year, has it just been crazy out there?
Wild.
Right?
Yeah.
And you're following astrology. Is this the most craziness that you've ever seen?
Yeah, I mean, I think we started to see, well, I was lightly studying astrology in 2012, and I knew that it was crazy, but I didn't realize how crazy it was because there's a lot of correlation with what's going on right now to what was happening in 2012. And a lot of that has to do with Neptune, and there's a few other things. But there was a lot happening then. Of course, in 2020, I mean, that was the big thing with astrologers, was something crazy is going to happen. And then look what happened to the world. It just changed like that.
Right.
So yeah, the astrology's been really heavy. So if people are feeling like, it's kind of like one day you feel great and the next day you're like, I don't know. And that's kind of what the astrology's been like.
It's been like that, and we knew something big was coming. I've been a personal friend of Chris and working with him since 2012, and I was so convinced that the world was going to change that I had in 2018 planned to move my clinic. I knew by January 15th of 2020 I had to be out of the United States. I don't know why, but I just had that, and I had Chris had confirmed it to me that what I was feeling was there. It was true. So that's actually why I closed the clinic. I wanted to get out of there. I had tried several different ways. I was going to go to Spain to write a book and all these different things. And I went back to Canada. But at the end of it, something was coming. People could feel it. And I could feel it too. And it was enough that I was willing to uproot my life, my clinic, my practice of that time, 7 years. And here we are. And it's like some people say fortuitous that we made the right move in the right time. But it wasn't. It was literally because of astrology, and it's because of Sirius Joy, and it's because of the step system that I had the confidence to literally quit my practice, shut it down, and move. And
yeah,
and I don't think
I relate to that so much. I mean, I uprooted a lot of my life too in a little bit of a different aspect, but I feel for me, Sirius Joy, and even as someone that was working there at the time of a lot of that uprooting, following the guidance, opening my heart, listening to my own intuition, it gives you that strength to, when you get a gut feeling to uproot and change, it gives you that, I've got you, like the universe has you.
Yeah, like people are feeling, like even today, people are feeling a little bit weird today. You know, why? Yeah. Out of curiosity, what's the energy of today that would make people feel?
So you mentioned at the beginning that the sun just moved to 28 degrees of Scorpio. And that is, so at Sirius Joy, we do, I'll talk about the step system just a little bit, just to give a little bit of a background on it. So each step is a degree that the sun moves, or that the planet moves. If it's a planet moving also, Venus is moving rapidly right now. So each degree is a step, and that's what we call our step system. And today the sun moved into step 28, so 28 degrees of Scorpio, which is a manifesting degree, like you said. And manifesting degrees are beautiful, right? It's because everything we've been working on up until then is coming together. It's coming together. It's about to come into real life. So if you've been taking care of your soil, you've been watering, you've been putting it in sunlight, you've been fertilizing it, whatever you do to your soil, and the seed, it's about to come up. And that's great. It's seeing the sunlight, it's coming out into the air, but it feels a little shaky because it's kind of new. You haven't done it yet before. So it feels a little vulnerable. So that's why it can feel a little weird. Like, wait, this is good. I've been working on this. I've been asking for this and it's here. I don't know, so it's a good feeling, but it's like so that's what today is.
Well, for some people though, it feels like stuff's falling apart, but really
Right.
what I say it's actually falling together, right?
Correct. So that's like the vulnerability that I mentioned. So the manifesting degree is a number 10, and the
Yeah.
one and the zero, it gives you it gives you a sense of vulnerability, which means like, yeah, I could feel like it's falling apart, but it is actually coming together. The coming together is the part that feels a little shaky until it forms.
So the way that we see it is that when all these emotions, so basically, um, before we move in our bodies, we were always taught that the brain moves the body, but we have a different view now because before we move the body, we actually have to have a desire. And a desire comes from an emotion. So we have a desire to move and then a fear of not getting our desire. And that's the balance between movement. And then the brain starts doing the work. So that means the emotions or emote moves the body. So when the emotions go crazy, people's bodies go crazy, and we see it in the droves. I mean, we have literally hundreds of thousands of people that will just immediately say, this is what's going on, and we have that immediate feedback, which has been informing us. But we've taken Sirius Joy, the app, and we use it internally with all of our coaches and lifestyle artists. And we have taken that, and we've also taken the step system, and we've used that to codify or to understand the body based on astrology. So we've actually taken all the astrological work, all the steps, the step system itself, and we use that same format to help the body. So what we've noticed is that people right now, and it's all over the world, it doesn't matter, we're in 80 countries solid, and we see people having all kinds of emotional issues or physical issues or relationship issues, and they're just coming up this last in Scorpio. And Scorpio is that the mother of all signs when you're going through change.
Oh yeah, yeah. It brings everything up to the surface. The things that are deep below, it brings it all up to the surface so you feel and experience that truth. That's Scorpio season.
So the emotions, when the emotions go high and crazy, what happens is it drives our adrenaline, our norepinephrine, our cortisol, our stress hormones. And if our stress hormones go up, then immediately, guess what happens? When we're in stress state, we can't release trauma. We can't even release the trauma from each and every day. So trauma keeps compiling in our body, and we have no way to get rid of it because of the stress. Here's what my personal experience is with Sirius Joy, is that I get messages 7 times a day, roughly, and I get a forecast for the day, and I get a reading, and I listen to the reading in the morning, and sometimes I don't. It just depends, but I get the messages throughout the day. And those messages help because I'm busy doing my thing, and I get a message that goes, you got an energy alert. Everybody's going to be batshit crazy, basically. and I look around and I'm like, yeah, everybody's batshit crazy. Well, that explains it to me, because if I didn't have a way to explain it, my own personal stress level goes up. So what I liked about the platform and the way that you guys focused on astrology is that instantaneously, I had a reason to look at that satiated my brain for why the world or why people or why I felt crazy. And here's how the body works, which is really interesting. So if I have a level 1 or 2 pain, let's say a 2 pain, and I'm on stress, that pain now becomes a 6 pain. And that's actually biologically been tested and tried over and over again. So what that means is that if my emotions are going like this, and I don't understand why, when the emotions go, our brain's job is to describe or tell us or explain why the emotion's there. Yeah. And if the brain can't explain it, it keeps going, and that loop causes anxious thoughts and anxiety, racing thoughts and stuff like that. That's all caused directly by that. And that's Absolutely. What we're seeing right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. So much of our physical pain is caused by emotional pain. And to piggyback off what you said, Sirius Joy for me also has created, like you said, when you read your text messages. So just to let everybody know, when you are a member of Sirius Joy, you get these text messages throughout the day, and they're wild. Gary, I know you can confirm that. because you get these text messages and they're all customized towards you based on your astrology, and you get them and you go, oh my gosh, are they in the car with me? You know, it's kind of funny, but it helps you read that. And like you said, it lets you know what's going on with the world around you, so you don't feel like you're alone. You know, it's like when you have that deep conversation with a friend and you say, has this ever happened to you? And they say, yes, it happens all the time. And you go, oh, thank goodness. It's like having that all day long. It's great.
Yeah, you know, and now since I'm outside the United States now, I get it in email format, but for me, it doesn't really matter. I don't see text messages and email any different today anyways.
Yeah,
and I get
right.
notifications too. But what I had noticed is that, okay, over the years, now I'm on the 5th year of the actual platform, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And over the years, what I've noticed is that I'll get a message and it'll be so precise. I literally think that, because I know Chris personally, and like at that time I was talking to him every single day. I'm like, did he write that message just for me? Is that really what happened? Mm-hmm. And I know that's not the case, but there's a couple of times I got weirded out. It's like, whoa, how is it so accurate? So tell me, how is it so accurate? Why?
Well, this is where you kind of have to, and I think our awesome, cute little cartoon advertisement says it, you have to see it and try it to believe it, to see how it's so accurate. So Christopher Witecki, he is just the most brilliant, talented, intuitive guy that I've ever come across. And I am on air saying that. I have yet to come across you know, a spiritual counselor like himself that is as accurate as he is, bottom line. And he downloaded this step system, and he downloaded it from his guides. And he has such a great connection with the universe and with spirit that he downloaded this beautiful step system that is it's just accurate. It's kind of, like I said, you have to try to believe it.
Now, so one of the things that Chris said, like I said, for years I've been talking about how our cycles in the calendar don't meet the cycles of the circadian rhythm of human beings. And our circadian rhythm is how our organs function, and it's the rhythm that they beat with the planet. And because we have a calendar system that takes days off or portions of days off, there was a point in time where we used to have 13 months of 28 days, which is a moon cycle, which we all sync to. Now, the step system doesn't sync to the days. So every year it's slightly different on the days.
It can be different, correct.
Yeah. And what I've noticed is that when using, we've actually moved off of the calendar and we live on the step system today. So our whole community, our whole staff, they know what step day it is. And internally, they know the step day more than they know the calendar day any day of the week. Now, what that's done for us personally is it's changed our entire lives, because there are days like for example, on a rest and receive day, there are days where I don't want to go to work, but they don't correspond with the weekend.
Right.
Correct. Almost never. And then there's days on the weekend where I just want to work. So since we've jumped off of the calendar system and we work on the step system, which we learned actually following Sirius Joy, we were able to actually adjust our work. So when we have a day off, it's supposed to be a day off. It feels like a day that we're resting. And when we have a day that's working, it feels like a day it's working. And I want to say something else, by the way. For those of you guys who have been following us for a while, last year we had 30,000 people on social media. This year, 2 million. And the way that we have done that is we have used the step system in Sirius Joy, and we put our energy into the post. Like, we have posts all the time, but when we put our energy and we film new content and we get it out there, it's always filmed for us in the 3rd decade or the last 10 days of every step system. So basically, we do all of our work 1/3 of the month and look at the results that we've had. I don't know anybody who gets 2 million in social media from a corporate account in that period of time. And we attribute that literally 100% to Sirius Joy and the step system that we've been following. And if you have a business out there, why would you ever market a product to somebody on a day that they're not going to make a decision? And if you know they're going to make a decision, that's the day. Or if it's a day for them just to receive and get input, don't ask for a sale.
Right.
And we've taken that to heart. We've integrated into our life, into our work cycles. And this has been a big difference for us. Now, this is where, can you tell a little bit about the step system and how the step system itself works?
Yeah, absolutely. And I just wanted to also comment on, using the step system for your benefit. And then, like you said, coming off of the calendar system and onto the step system for your days, which isn't always realistic. I know I have a hard time. I can't do that. I have kids, they're in school. I have to go off the calendar system. But when you start to use it in that sense, it will start to also work for you. So those days that we call a creative rest and receiving day, that could be a Wednesday. In fact, I think this past Wednesday it was that, if I'm correct. And
Yes.
yeah, and I had a full day at work, but then all of a sudden things started to open up, and I had a lot more of a relaxed day. And it's because I work with the step system, so the step system works also for me. We scratch each other's back, so to speak. So how it works is each step represents a different energy. It's ruled by a different planet. Our astrological step system is slightly different from traditional astrology. We are kind of rogue astrologers here at Sirius Joy. We have a
Absolutely.
team of, yeah, it's pretty cool. And if it wasn't so accurate, we would rethink it, but it is. So we go with it because we're like, well, this is working. So like I said, every day that the sun moves a degree is a different step, or that a planet moves a different degree. All of our planets change degrees, some slower than others, and every degree is a step. And like I said, they all represent a different energy based upon the planet that rules them.
So yeah, so anyways, I had somebody asking if they can remove a headache from overthinking, and we would normally say that they're probably an Aries or a Capricorn, and we would give them a maneuver for their head. So if
Yeah.
you and literally just ask that, if you want that
Uh-huh.
non-surgical facelift, you go right into our link in the bio, and you can do that. But the idea is that we can even tell, like what we did is we working with the step system, we took and we looked at hundreds of thousands of client notes, and we looked for similarities. And what we found was the step system was the easiest way for us to identify patterns in people and to how to help them. Because
Yeah.
each one of those planets is also corresponds to an organ, and each one of those organs corresponds to an emotion. And if that emotion is there, it affects the physical body viscerally. Like if you got resentment and your gallbladder right here, that meridian goes right over here. That one causes a headache on one side of the body, and you feel it in the eye. So if you ever get a headache and it's one side of the body, it's the eye, it's your gallbladder. We got a quick little movement you do, and it takes about a minute and a half to do it, and all of a sudden the headache goes away. Because our bodies, the way I explain to people is that the Earth is 70% water, but so are we. And when the moon goes over, it pulls all the oceans at the tide. So it's highly unlikely that my body is not being affected by that. And then more so is that the domination of water in our body, the big pools or the oceans, are our kidneys and our bladder. And our kidneys are energy and our bladder is fear. So like that's why when a full moon, that's why everybody's so crazy. It's because you get all that water pulling up. It's pulling up in the bladder. It's forcing the bladder in, and the body actually feels fear when the bladder gets full. That's what we're actually peeing. We're peeing out fear, and but those aspects are where I said, okay, there has to be an impact. I mean, if women's menstrual cycle is connected to the moon, then men's have to have it some way too, whatever that is. And maybe we can't find it easy, but it has to be an effect. And that's why we started using astrology. But here's the thing that I had with astrology is normally I get a report from somebody. I get one in the morning or I get one for the week. By halfway through the week, by the first day, I've forgotten what I got. I've forgotten everything that was said there. And even if I listen to it in the morning, even with Sirius Joy, I'll forget stuff throughout the day. The 7 messages are what bring me back consistently to the narrative or to the theme of that day, because I just want to stay on theme. I don't have to have everything right. I don't have to know it, but it's like if there's an energy alert and there's some weird energy, people are thinking weird or going freaky, I just want to know. And
Yeah.
because it's like I'll be on the phone with somebody I've talked to forever, and they're like, that's it, ping, click. And I'm like, what the heck just happened? And I'll go look at my Sirius Joy, and it'll be, oh, that's what happened. I'll give a little space. I'll give them a little bit of time.
Yeah. Yeah, it gives you the opportunity to protect yourself, especially if you are someone that interacts with people a lot, like both you and I do. it gives you the opportunity to kind of retreat if you need to, or get out there and use the energy to your benefit if you need to. I'm seeing a lot of questions too about people that are international, asking if we're international. We are absolutely international. We have a lot of people in Australia, a lot of people in England, like the Great Britain area, all over the US, of course, everywhere. Yeah, so we are definitely.
You know what's funny? Our markets, our large markets, are Australia, Great Britain, and the US.
Yeah.
So it seems to be that that's the market that's more open to this, I would imagine.
Yeah.
And, you know, and listen, I've been chastised and called everything you can think of by turning a clinical practice and using astrology, but the results are unbelievable. And if you look at what's happening right now, again, the reason why we have millions of people following us, including doctors and practitioners, is because of that. But here's something I want practitioners to hear right from my mouth. Hippocrates said, a doctor who does not use astrology is not a doctor, but a fool. Now, Hippocrates is the father of modern medicine. And I just took it right. I mean, I listen, if I'm going to take part of his work and understand it, I'm going to take all of his work and understand it. Absolutely. And this is a really big factor because there is a lot of, and what we found is the ability to help people. Like, for example, we're trying to fix them in their body, but if their Chiron's pushing at them and this is that time of the year, it doesn't matter what I do. If they're in fear, it doesn't matter what we do physically with their body. They're going to leave. Their bladder is going to be pulled up. Their neck's going to go forward. They're going to feel it tight here. And it doesn't matter how much therapy I do. So letting them know, and this is where we developed the fascial maneuvers, is to give them a tool to use at home because we didn't want them to be dependent upon us.
Yeah,
but
that's so brilliant. I mean, I just know from my own experience, I've had so much, I call it phantom pain. I'm a pretty healthy individual. I take pretty good care of myself, and I'll get these phantom pains, and no MRI, X-ray, or ultrasound can diagnose it. And then you go within and you look at the energetic factor of it and what's causing it. And then all of a sudden you can start to work those knots out, you know?
So let's do something fun here. We'll continue talking, but we'll take somebody who has a health issue and who knows, if you know your astrology, we want your sun sign, your moon, and your rising. And if you have a health issue, I want you to put it up there and say, my sun sign is this, my moon and my rising, and here's what my health issue is, and what you recommend. And let's see if we can play around with this a little bit. Let's have a little fun and see if we can help some people here. So I have another question for you. So when we're dealing with the step system, it goes from it starts at 0. So if I'm starting something and I'm manifesting something, I'm in step 0, which is now, let's say, this month. Is it 1 month or 2 months, or is it 3 months to get to Sagittarius, which is 3, or is it 4 months? How do you look at it?
If you're starting at step 0 and it takes 3 or 4 months to get to Sagittarius, is that what you're asking?
Yeah, because is it the 4th month or is it the 3rd month?
So Sagittarius is ruled by the number 3. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it's ruled by 3. So if I'm here, I'm going to go three months in. So that would be 4 technical months, right? Because 0 is a 0 month.
Yeah, I guess you could look at it like that.
That's the way we look at it. So that's why I was asking what your opinion is.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Sagittarius, like you're Sagittarius, I'm a Sagittarius. It's all about 3. And what's interesting about Sagittarius, 3 is belief. And what does Sagittarius do? They're like, believe, charge.
Absolutely.
It's like to infinity and beyond.
Yeah, and we are approaching Sagittarius season. Yes.
Okay, so we have some questions coming up. Yeah, we have questions coming up. My sun is Aries, my moon is Sagittarius, and my rising is endometrial. And my rising is Cancer rising. Okay, so this is interesting. So Aries are always in their head generally, and their moon is in Sagittarius. The moon is actually the emotions, which is actually how the body. So the body will respond in extreme, because Sagittarius is extreme. You and I know that. And she's a Cancer rising. So Cancer is the ego or the attitude, and endometriosis. So Cancer typically has issues with the intestines, and that's what wraps the uterus, and that's actually what causes pressure, in our opinion, and causes endometriosis. So that's a good way that we look at it. But the problem is that the small intestine gets bigger, but the small intestine is connected to the brain. So when we're thinking here, we're actually thinking down there, and that's pushing right against the uterus. So for that Aries, we would tell you, and I think it's Miss Carrie Baby, we would tell you to actually start to do that during that time of the month, to do the non-surgical facelift. Would you say that Aries are in their head mostly, the ones that you find?
Aries, they can be, you know, I know medically, yes, Aries does control the head. Yeah, I could say that they're in their head. It's a fire energy though. So, you know, they're very ego, you know, not ego based. And when we say ego based at Sirius Joy, ego is not the bad word that society has deemed it. Like ego, we all have to have an ego. It's about having a healthy ego. And so
Right.
Aries can be here to develop a healthy ego. So what you just did, going the astrological kind of medical route with it, we would take this person's information and go more detailed and look at the steps, the degrees that all of those are at, the sun, moon, and the rising. And those numbers that their sun is at, that their moon is at, and that their rising are at, that would determine so much further why they experience some of the stuff they experience in life.
So I personally found that those numbers actually tell me more about it than the signs.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, sometimes
I read
it does.
the numbers more.
That's why some people, when they talk astrology, they go, oh, well, when I read my horoscope in Cosmopolitan, it doesn't sound anything like me. Or my favorite is, I'm on the cusp. And, you know, there really isn't a cusp. You are or you aren't that sign, right? So that's why I love the step system, because it really hones in on the degree, and the degrees for us mean everything. They really break down your personality type. So you're not just a Pisces sun, you are a step 22 Pisces sun. So you have a lot of Aquarian energy in there.
Aquarius. And you feel everything, and you feel it again.
Right. Yeah. So,
and I'm at 29 degrees, so that nets to 11, which makes me a Virgo. I embody everything as a Sag, and I want to fix everything too, which makes sense. A lot of Sagittarius don't want to do that. I'm in there. I look like a Virgo to the world.
And 29 is such an extreme number, because it's the last number of, you know, in Sagittarius, because you're right before it changes into Capricorn. So you are trying to get in all of that Sagittarian energy before it goes away. So that's why you don't just do that as your own small little private practice. You do it on a global level. You're like, I'm not just going to help some people, I'm going to help everybody.
And we got another one here that's sun is Sag, moon is Cancer, and rising is Gemini. Whoa, I'm not sure. I mean, that person would be fun to party with, and probably longs to be in community. But what would you say somebody who's stacked like that? Where would you say that they would have issues in life? Or
a Sag sun, a Cancer moon, and a Gemini rising?
Yeah.
Was that it? Yeah. Well, the Cancer moon, that's where the moon is its happiest place, is in Cancer. The moon is ruled by Cancer. It's also going to intensify anything that Cancer or the moon represents, which is emotions and emotional care, your emotional foundation. So anything that you experience within that realm is going to be intensified. And again, we would dive deeper and look at what degree her Cancer or his or her Cancer moon is at.
So Sagittarius, the emotions that Sagittarius deal with the most is guilt, shame, and fear. And so with a Cancer moon, you'd have and a Gemini rising in their head, all about it, their thoughts. So if they were in those emotions, that's going to be extreme for them. Would you say that?
Yeah, it could be. In that Gemini rising, you know, they're really going to want to show everybody their Gemini side. They want to show the Gemini qualities that they possess. That's what that Gemini rising is going to do.
How smart they are, how they can think it through, show off. So that make a Sagittarius show off.
Yeah, Sagittarius. We could be a little showy. Some of us,
not
all of us.
I am. I mean, because I'm not afraid to be who I am, which I spent a lot of time, you know, and this is the first thing that for me, the first 30 years of my life were pretty tumultuous. But, you know, after that, it's like, you don't like me, that's okay. I wasn't thinking about you anyways. and it just allowed me the space to move forward. So I am extreme in that way for sure.
Yeah, and that can also, a lot of that can happen after you experience your Chiron return. So
Yeah.
when Chiron returns to the spot that it was at when you were born, that's a huge milestone when you experience that transit. Is kind of like, this is who I am, and I'm not going to apologize for it anymore.
So I'm looking at this. I'm looking at who's on this call today. It's hilarious. We got Gemini, Libra Moon, Sagittarius Rising. What's with all the Gemini, Sag, and
it's like
the Geminis and the Sagittarius are like, charge, let's learn,
yeah,
let's do it now.
They are. Because it's almost our time to shine. We're coming up here.
Yeah. So I have personally noticed that 52 days before my birthday, I have personally noticed that it's and I actually teach this. It's almost like my own annual Saturn return, where I feel a little bit, I'm more in my head, I'm thinking a little bit more calm. It's like I'm processing all the information from the year before I go into the next year. Do you find that yourself or anything like that?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think, there's usually a couple other planets that are give or take. It could be, like you said, 52 days. It could be give or take a month or so, depending. But there's other planets that are going to be revisiting, like Mercury is probably coming around to where it was, somewhere around where you were born. And so you're going to be experiencing a lot of those emotions because there's a lot of aspects that are happening that they give you the opportunity to reflect.
The one girl, I'm sorry, Amber, who had toxic mold, that was the Sun, Sag, Moon, Cancer, Gemini rising. Hey, I didn't catch the toxic mold in advance. If you have the toxic mold, I'm going to suggest right now that you go get Fascial Foundation or Diatomaceous Earth. You can buy it locally too, but this one here, because what happens is that mold, it launches in your connective tissue, and then the fascial flow or Irish sea moss. I mean, you can. I encourage you to go get it where you are local. These are all just products that we have that are just more convenient, but I didn't see that. And toxic mold is really, really bad because it throws the body all over the place. So what we say and the way we look at the body is that these are little antennas, okay? And you're touching these antennas all day long. So are you intuitive?
Yeah. Sometimes, and this is something that I think a lot of intuitive people that even get paid for their intuition, I think will say sometimes your own intuition is like, it makes you step back a little bit. You're like, whoa.
So we're gonna come up to a closeout time pretty shortly, but I want to talk about a couple things here. Number one is so somebody wanted to understand their own body, their own lives, and their own days better. The service is online that you guys have. You could sign up for it, correct? And I believe you have people can try it for $4 a month and cancel it if they don't want as well. Is that what it is?
It is what it is. So we do. It's SiriusJoy.com. We do have a trial month, 30 days. You could try for $3.99. You can't beat that. I wish you luck in not getting addicted to your text messages because they're so helpful and they're so accurate. It's almost impossible. I want to talk about our team really quick because we have such a powerful team behind Sirius Joy. First of all, we have Robbie, who is one of our astrologers. Robbie is this teacher that you just wouldn't believe. So if you are interested in astrology, or if you are just interested in yourself, I should say, if you have any interest in yourself, Robbie can teach you how to cope. She gives you, teaches you life lessons, and it's really beautiful. It's not just astrologically based. It's really life based. And Robbie is a minister, so she teaches like that, which is beautiful. Her way of speaking is just incredible. And she does a pep talk every single day. It's like somewhere between 25 and 30 minutes, and you can listen to it. It's just audio, and it goes with the energy of the day. And it's so helpful to listen to in the morning because it gets you prepped for your day, and it's just easy. And like you said, Gary, you hear it in the morning, and then those text messages you get throughout the day, It just is a refresher. It's a reminder of that energy. We also have Kristen, and she is our sound healer. She's also an astrologer. She's an intuitive guide, and she does a daily tune-in where she does sound bowl healing. Her voice will penetrate your soul on a level you have never experienced. I am a sound bowl snob, and she vibrates your whole inside every morning. Every morning. She also goes over the energy of the day. We also have Devin, who is an angel intuitive guide, and she channels and messages with the angels and bases it on the step system. So she'll give you energy. She does a weekly show, and she'll give you the energy for the week based on messages from the angels. And then there's me. And we also host a weekly soul support group, and we have different topics every week. Sometimes we do live readings, which is super cool. Kristen and I have been doing that. We get people on, we talk about something, we have a topic, and then we start doing live readings. So for instance, we have a new moon in Sagittarius coming up next week. And if Kristen and I were doing a soul support group around that time, we're not for this one, but oftentimes on new moons or full moons or whenever there's a big transit, we'll host this soul support group, and you can get on with us live, and we'll tell you where that new moon hit your life. So a lot of times we'll go on social media and we'll see people say, oh, the new moon is doing this, and you read it and you go, that's cool, that's beautiful. But how is it affecting me? Is it affecting my home life? Is it affecting my work life, my love life? And we go and we do those. So that's super fun. We offer so much content on this site. It's unbelievable.
So yeah, that's a good point. And also there's a really cool app. It's your tribe feature, your tribe, where if you're a mom.
My tribe is amazing. Yeah.
So if you're a mom or a dad, and you want to track your husband and your wife and the kids to understand what's going on in their life, that's one of the most powerful tools that I think that are in my own personal, because I don't necessarily want to know it all. I just want to use it. And that one allows me to understand the people around me.
Right. And thank you for saying that. I love my tribe. I have a personal connection with my tribe. So what Gary's talking about is you can plug in the people in your life. So your kids, your spouse, whoever wants to give you their birth information. So it's a birth time, birth date, birth location, and it will give you a quick blurb every 10 days as the energy changes about what to expect with that person. So if you know your child is going to be experiencing a rough time, maybe they're experiencing it in school, they're having a hard time studying, you're going to go, oh, my son's having a hard time in school right now for the next, few days, and that full moon's going to hit him hard. It will let you know, and you could deal with it a little bit more patiently and from the heart.
You said there's a new moon in Sag coming, right?
There is, yeah.
This is our time, isn't it?
It's so our time, and I can just feel it. I feel these energies early because I work. So you talked about ditching the calendar system, being on the step system, and I'm over here going, I'm still on the calendar system because I have kids. I'm on the step system heavily, and I work in the future. So I'm all over the place.
All over the place.
Oh, yeah. I remember talking to Christopher about that. I'm like, oh, I thought today was this day. He's like, job hazard. Like, you always
by the way,
on a different day.
For Kim, I think it's Toth Kim, you have rheumatoid arthritis and Hashimoto's with lots of pain. How does that play in Sagittarius? Well, Sagittarius is going to be affected by the gallbladder and the stomach, and the bladder because of the fear. And the bladder sits right on, and it contracts against the small intestines. I would suggest our 28-day life reset. And there's a couple movements that help that out, because rheumatoid arthritis and Hashimoto's, in our world, that's just stuff not moving through your GI tract. If you look online in our stories, you'll see. Now, we don't say people get cured, first of all, but we have many people that are bringing back medical proof that they've been cured of Hashimoto's and rheumatoid arthritis. So that's another fellow Sagittarius. So I wanted to get that in there. Just look at, you see any? I'm a Gemini, born on 6/2. How can I figure my moon and my sun? So if you're trying to figure out your moon and your sun, what you do is you go into Sirius Joy, you sign up, and again, it's $4. You get nothing to lose. You put in your information, and it'll give you all the details, but it'll even give you your soul biography. It'll give you your basically your story, and then the story, your A story, your B story, and it'll tell you all the things that you need to do. And what I found, and we have people in our organization, they are literally become astrologers, and all they've done is studied in the app.
Yeah.
And the app has so much that you can literally become an astrologer just from the app itself.
Absolutely. And we have such a, like I said, I mentioned some of our team, we have a great tech team behind us too. So, you know, we are always, because we operate a little differently in our world than most astrology services, we are always there to help people understand what it is an A story and a B story means, or a step this or a step that. We answer questions, we interact with our subscribers. We love our subscribers. Our whole base is to love yourself and love yourself some more, and to open up the door to your heart and live by it. And
for those, that lady who was diagnosed with lupus, diagnosis is a label. It's like calling somebody stupid. You would never call a child stupid. A diagnosis is a recognition of symptoms. And when I have a symptom and I recognize it, it stops me from looking any further at anything. And it also limits me to the prescribed view of how that symptom affects me and what I can do about it. Symptoms are not good. And that's why we don't diagnosis is not good. And we have a Sagittarius born at 2:13. Look at this. Look at all the Sagittarius, man. Sagittarius born at 2:13 p.m. Not sure that's what my rising mood is. Okay, well, again, for you, that's Sagittarius. You're bold enough to go and adventure beyond. So go sign up in the app, try it out. And again, they get to SiriusJoy.com. It's super simple. And looking for anything else. You see anything there that you can see? How do you know? So a lot of people here, okay, listen, there's a lot of people here that just don't understand, and that's fair enough. What we want you to understand is that astrology is not a pseudoscience. It's the original science of mankind. They were talking about angles and vectors of planets before our modern day science even knew there was an outer ring. Guys, it's only a fool, like Hippocrates says, that doesn't actually follow it or look at it. It makes sense. And there's no way that these messages can make so much sense unless they're scanning your phone. Look at another one, Sun Sagittarius, Capricorn. I think
we're just calling them in. We're calling them in. Sagittarius takeover. No, I'm just kidding.
It's getting to be that way. So, we're gonna wrap up here now. But is anything else that you want to say at the end? Any messages that you want to tell people? I mean, I'll say one thing personally, is that this year, because of last year and understanding, every year the same energies come around, and I get faced with the same stories, the same timelines, the same people saying stuff, and the same kind of feelings. And this year, because I've been watching accurately year over year, because this year all the stuff that's happening around me, it just doesn't feel like it bothers me anymore. And it's because I know I've been watching Sirius Joy for years. I understand. Each year it gets a little bit better, because last year I messed up on this sign. Like last year I messed up. I wasn't doing the right thing. This year I'm like, I know better this year. I'm here to manifest. And today's the day to sit down. And what do you want people to do today? Since this is in my opinion, it's the strongest manifest day in several hundred years. So what should they do?
Well, also too, the sun, this is very astro nerdy, but the sun is making a favorable aspect to Jupiter. So it's really, you're able to continue to expand under this energy and grow, like you said. So I think going back to asking what my final message is, and I kind of said it, our motto here at Sirius Joy is to love yourself and love yourself some more. That's it. And it's about knowing yourself and being secure in yourself. And then that has the ripple effect. The world right now, we know it needs so much love. We know it needs so much compassion, listening. And if you just can do that inner work on yourself and be that person, it's going to have the ripple effect. It's just impossible not to. And so that's what we try to promote, is the ripple effect. You be the best you. You have the best heart that you can. And then it's gonna naturally spread.
Heather, it's an absolute pleasure. I know that just for you guys watching, we're gonna post this on our wall. I mean, we don't even expect people to watch on lives anymore. They actually go on the wall. So if you're getting this and you're on the wall, there's gonna be links in the details of how to sign up for this. links to Sirius Joy. If you're doing this right now, they had their account hacked, so they're rebuilding. So if you can actually just quickly go over and follow them on Instagram, and if this is really resonating with you, can you tell your friends to follow them as well? I can't imagine having an account hacked. I mean, it's taken us years and years to figure out how to get subscribers and get people to listen to us, and you guys have done such a great job. You got a YouTube channel with more recorded content than almost anybody I know has content on that channel. It's like some 8,000 videos or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, absolutely. We are kind of a content machine over here. So if you're with us, you are just going to have so much at your fingertips.
Really appreciate you coming on. We're gonna ask, we're gonna let our audience, and again, if you're watching this and you want to send us a message and you want an answer, first of all, you can send a message to us and we'll get it through to Sirius Joy, but you can actually message them directly. You guys have a Facebook group too that people can join into.
We do have a Facebook group, yeah, and then we have so yeah, unfortunately we've been going through some transition, but you know what? We have another message that we say we have a breakdown to a breakthrough, and we're breaking through, and things are shifting, the world is shifting, we're shifting. So yeah, give us a follow, keep in touch with us on our Instagram, our Facebook, YouTube, all of it, or SiriusJoy.com.
And it's absolutely certified and guaranteed by us. I mean, this service has changed my life personally. My whole family uses it. Our team uses it. You would be crazy not to use it. And you heard the bird again. Eh?
I love it. My dog keeps going. She's like, I haven't heard that kind of bird before.
Signing off from Cancun, Mexico, in our new retreat center. For those guys who are following us live and you've been watching the journey, it's going to be cool. And also to remember that we have a live class coming up next week on Saturday. It's $20. It's a class. It's online. We're going to be handling people's issues in a way that you've never seen before. And in addition to that, we've got retreats coming up, and please watch for them. Wow, that bird is very, very active all of a sudden. And last thing is that having knowledge of why my day shows up the way it does is what takes the stress and anxiety out of the day. It's the first step. Step number 2 is to do our 15-minute stress reset, which you can find on our YouTube. Heather, thank you so much. You've been awesome.
Thank you so much, Gary.
We'd like to have you back at some point and have a chat, because as we do this, we want to have more open conversations where we are going to take questions from the audience in advance. We'll chart them out. And we'll talk about both from the astrological and from the medical side. You do the astrological, I'll do the medical, and we'll set that up in advance. And when we do that, you'll be able to send all your stuff in. We'll pick the top ones, and we'll just spend like an hour charting people and figuring out what their issues are and help them that way, if you're okay with that.
I love it. That sounds like so much fun. I love doing stuff like that. Let's do it.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Gary.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.